What did a crush do that made you immediately lose interest? Not so much a crush. But we were in the initial sentences of the conversation getting to know each other. We were describing to one another what our jobs were. He corrected me on describing my job. Stopped right there. Said it wasn't going to work out and ended the conversation. He would ask me questions about myself. Then cut me off in the middle of my answer to talk about himself. Bragged about how she was leading on a few guys so she always had a backup. I was casually dating a 19-year-old guy when I was 18. He seemed totally normal until I met him at his house before a date and his mom asked him to take the garbage out before we left. He threw a fit that would embarrass most 3-year-olds, including crying, yelling at his mom, and punching the floor. I pretended that my parents were calling and needed me to come home. Blocked his number. And never saw him again. I like to think that mom knew he'd do that and was trying to save you the trouble. Met a woman. Thought she seemed cool. We went out to eat. She's telling me about how she fell on financial hard times and moved back in with her parents. The way she described it just sounded like she got in lucky. Not that she did anything irresponsible. It happens. When the bill came I told her I'd pay. She said, "Thanks. I appreciate that. I'm trying to save my money right now." Me. "Sure. I understand. You want to get your own place again." Huh? "No. Actually I mean I'm trying to save up $500 for a tattoo I want to get. I've got nothing against spending money on tattoos. But when you've just spent a first date talking about the financial troubles you have, maybe now's the time to start putting money away for necessities. Not tattoos." Poured lemonade on my head in the middle of a fireworks show. She thought it was flirty and cute. After my divorce I reconnected with a girl I had a huge crush on in high school. After meeting up in Vegas and hooking up for a few nights. Then going back to visit and doing the same again. Found out she lived with her boyfriend. No clue she had a boyfriend. It was messed up. Immediately lost interest. Said she would turn up on a date. Then flaked. Told me she had been called into work urgently. I said okay, that's cool. Second time she flaked again, said that she had to tutor someone. Which made no sense because would you not have that planned? She told me her future plans to essentially become a gold digger like her mother. When I laughed it off she couldn't see what I thought was so funny. I ran into an old crush a few years back who told me he was into dog baiting. The candle had blown out a long time ago as far as my crush was concerned, but that pretty much killed any intention I had of trying to restart our friendship. Bite. What's dog baiting? Went on a date with them and they didn't ask me anything about myself. It was completely one-sided, like a job interview or something. I'm a guy. By the way. I went on 2 dates with a girl when I was in college. She was wonderful but immediately wanted to be official and started drafting Instagram posts about us. She wanted to spend every day together and have sleepovers every night. It was so out of nowhere and we literally knew nothing about one another. I tried to look past it but she asked me to be her first and I got uncomfortable. She seemed naive and I didn't want to take advantage. I suggested we take things slow and she took offense. I cut things off and her reaction was super childish. All of this in a 3-week period. Sweet girl, but the pacing was off. He wouldn't talk to me in person for some reason. This is me in high school. Captain Anxiety takes over. Crush comes to my house. I explain how I'm slowly remodeling it and my plans for my house. She then starts telling me I shouldn't and I should do it her way. And let her take it over and let her design, decorate, do it all. The hell I will. Ask me to be their wingman because they had a crush on my best friend. We were driving down the road and she threw a Starbucks cup right out the window. Gross. Edit. Thanks for the silver. Also, I was a passenger so I couldn't kick her out. And I'm honestly not sure it was Starbucks also, but it was easier than saying paper coffee cup. Colon. She told me that spanking her teenage daughter didn't work because it wasn't satisfying enough. Edit. A bit of context. This was long ago and far away in a European country. The mother was a statuesque blonde divorcee and the daughter was about 14 and headed for trouble. Corporal punishment was de rigueur at the time, both here and in Europe. I decided that the situation was hopeless and noped out of her ASAP. The daughter hated her mother, big surprise, and went on to get pregnant and force her mother to raise the child. I came back to the States and still consider myself lucky to have dodged that bullet. He talked about how he wanted to loosen up some boring family at a wedding reception. So he spiked their drinks with party drugs. Did you go on a date with Bill Ponderosa? We were eating dinner out and he was rude to the server. Told him we were pretty close friends. It would be nice to add a please or thank you. He said, why should I? She's a waitress, implying he feels superior and I pay her to do her job. Gave me a 5-minute lecture on conditions where cheating is okay. He would steal people's tips off the bar counter when we were at a bar together with friends. Then he would offer to buy me food with it. No thank you. A woman I was talking to was recently divorced and had moved back in with her parents. She already had a child and a couple pets and was talking about getting another pet and her parents told her no. She chose to go ahead and get another pet anyhow and basically her parents began pushing her out the door. And it was a stressful situation for her and I suggested she talk to her folks. I had a crush on a guy in high school who was a little bit of a rebel. Nothing serious but definitely had a bad boy thing going on. One day in class the teacher told him to do something minor and he flipped out. Basically had a temper tantrum and refused. Totally killed all interest by being an asshole for no reason. She generalized everyone. She was also such a bitch to everyone that she didn't understand. He plays video games? Wow, when do you think he'll move out of his mother's basement? Wow, she wears so much makeup, can you imagine what she's hiding under that face? Just such a mean-spirited person and it completely turned me off. He started dating one of my friends after I told her that I had a crush on him. She tried hooking up with every guy she knew I had a crush on. I felt like I couldn't like anyone. Edit. This was back in 2012. We're not on bad terms but I rarely speak to her now. You should have picked a guy you absolutely thought was disgusting and then tell her you had a crush on him, lol. Co-worker at work had just a beautiful energy. Absolutely lovely to be around. Always smiling at everyone. And she would laugh at my jokes. And she made some comments from time to time that made me feel validated and understood, which was very flattering, like she guessed my passions in life and told them to me. With a big smile while looking me in the eyes. And I'm a reserved guy who doesn't share that stuff. All just very lovely. One day we're in the break room and she's talking to another guy the same way and I'm consciously talking myself out of being jealous. You're not dating or anything, you don't even have her cell phone number. She's allowed to be lovely with other people now, come on, no reason to be jealous. Then when the guy leaves she turns to the girl next to her and says, God, I hate that guy. And I had just been jealous that she was treating him exactly like she treats me. I still feel foolish when I think about it. Like, does she like me or hate me? Was pretty rude to and consistently teased his roommate's dog. Just be nice to animals. Not that hard. I actually got her and then realized she wasn't the person in my head that I fell in love with. So yeah, learn from that. Love a person for who they really are and not for who you perceive them to be. Edit. Thanks for the gold, kind stranger. Much appreciated. He was making fun of a disabled woman. Instantly not interested. Got so drunk at a party that she shit herself. I had a harmless crush on a married friend that I did not signal or act on. Ever. I've been the spurned wife before. I kept my distance and did everything short of unfriending him on Facebook. He slid on into my DMs right after my separation became public knowledge and he found out I was no longer married. He was still married to his wife. With a baby on the way. I didn't respond. They are divorced now. She's a really lovely person and deserves so much better. We would be great in person. Both of us would have a laugh and genuinely had an amazing connection. But trying to get a text back takes days. It's really difficult to arrange to spend more time together when she barely replies to me. I massively lost interest after this. She tried to hook up with one of the members of Air Supply. That would have left me all out of love. He snapped his fingers at a waitress. Then I looked mortified. First friend in college. She sat next to me in English class and we immediately clicked. One day she suggests we go out and study together for finals. And I didn't give it much thought. Turns out she liked me as much as I liked her. So you could imagine my reaction. It was what happened next that changed the mood. Orders a coffee. They make a small mistake and she flips out. Starts cursing at the cashier. Demanding a full refund. And an apology. I sit there confused. This is the same girl who looked shy and reserved when you first meet. She walks out. I apologize profusely and follow after her. She has the nerve to blame them and I tell her it won't work out. The last week was awkward to say the least. She refused to move seats or sat next to me if I moved and acted like I was to blame for not taking her side. Like. No. You don't treat people like that. Shat on a stage in Loret in Spain. Not a crush but an ex. Jiggled the door handle while I was taking a tea and then got angry that I wouldn't let her in. Huh? Why can't I come in? Are you not comfortable with me or something? We're dating. It had been 3 days. Edit. Corrected would to wouldn't and thank you for the karma strangers. I'd be upset if my BF locked themselves in the bathroom for 3 days. Shitty personality. Doesn't matter how hot you are. If all you have are looks, people will notice once you get any one-on-one time with them. Said. Why do you hang out with that N anyway? Hard R. OG I don't know. Maybe cause he's been my best friend since 2nd grade and always has my back. That was enough for me to realize she's ugly. I was having a party and the drinks were flowing. Went to check on her cause she had disappeared for a while. As I opened the door, I see her sitting on a small wastebasket taking a tea in my bedroom. I couldn't get that picture out of my head. I know I've done my fair share of dumb stuff. But still couldn't forget it. Edit. Well, this blew up. Thanks for the gold, you awesome random person. Edit 2. Woke up to platinum. Thanks so much. It's gonna be a good day. Edit 3. Just read through all the comments. I haven't laughed this hard in a long time. Sorry I couldn't reply to them all. He started fingering me while we made out. Then reached into his drawer. Pulled out lube and squirted it all over my nether region and my panties, which were still on. Then proceeds to grab my throat and kiss me before he leans over and takes a sip of water out of his water bottle. Only to then spit it onto the lubey vagina mess. A grown-ass man spat onto my vagina. I thought that only happened in PRN. That's a no from me, dog. Played hard to get. No thanks. If you're gonna ghost me for days at a time and then get pissed off when I don't respond in 5 seconds, then that's not my problem. My family is Jewish. And my grandfather survived the Holocaust. On the second date he told me he was a neo-Nazi. Or at least on the path to becoming one. When I told him I was Jewish. And also politically very left. He told me that he wanted to ossify the commie out of me. Never spoke again. Within the first 5 minutes of the date he told me women shouldn't work in corporate America because they take too many bathroom breaks. He had come to this conclusion by parking himself outside of the ladies' restroom at his office for an entire afternoon. I said this date is over. Stood up. And walked out. She would eat butter. As in. Grab a few sticks of butter and a small bowl of powdered sugar to dip it in. She'd eat it like Fun Dip. Did you report her to the police? Made fun of my smile. Edit. Thank you everyone for all of the kind comments. Everyone's smile is beautiful because it shows that you are happy. Thank you for my first silver. And my first gold. This. And making fun of somebody's laugh are two of the most f-ked up things that a person can do. It serves no purpose except to make someone feel self-conscious every time they are enjoying themselves. Guy was academic, hygienic, and sweet. Treated waitstaff appropriately. Spoke formally but still funny. Shared things in common. Me. Perfect gentleman. Date ended 10/10. While driving me home. At a stoplight. Pointed to a homeless man crossing the street. Said I would stop my car for anybody crossing the street. Just not homeless men. Where do they have to be? Fear in no hurry. Me thinking. Okay. Unsolicited and kinda odd. He added another comment. It'd be funny if I run him over. Me. I would stop my car for anybody crossing the street. Just not homeless men. Where do they have to be? Fear in no hurry. Mayo that's some Larry David Tish T. For context. Him 6'4". Built dude me. 5'0" non-built lady. We were hanging out at his house when he also jokingly blocked my way when it was time for me to go and wouldn't let me pass. I asked him to let me by. When he wouldn't. I told him I was uncomfortable and he called me a crazy bitch. That was the end of that for me. Cute girl in 9th grade. There was a party over at her house. Out in the country. Had a big Olay crush on her. So she says they raise chinchillas. Okay, everyone wants to see the fuzzy critters. There were about 100 of them. The ammonia smell was unreal. So there's a platform with battery cables on it. And I asked what that was for. She said, here, I'll show you. Have some ready to go anyway. She grabbed a little fuzzy critter. Clamped the cables on it and threw the switch. Without missing a beat, killed that critter. It was bizarre that a teenage girl could electrocute an animal that easily. No more crush. I was actually afraid of her a little after that. It kind of sucked the life out of the party, to say the least. Why did they have a chinchilla murder station anyway? Called another clearly beautiful girl ugly behind her back. She said she was a flat earther. Kept comparing me to her druggy ex-husband who beat her. Stole her money. But you know. He was a good guy. She would always act stupid around me when I knew she wasn't. She liked me too. But I couldn't date a person that acted like that and she thought it was cute. Tried to convert me to his religion. It's funny because his dad tried to do the same thing to my mom when they were teens. They've been friends for over 30 years and at some point were interested in each other. Needless to say that my mom lost interest in his dad because of the same reason too. He was a complete racist and told me he tried to kill himself the night before because he would rather die than be crushed on by a monkey. This was in 4th grade and I was shattered. Called me a sexist for pointing out that she was improperly and dangerously using a power saw. I mean, I get that a lot of guys probably talk down to women using tools. But for FCK's sake, she was so close to losing a hand or worse. Edit. In her defense. There was a guy there who had been constantly asking to take over what she was doing even when she was doing fine. So I'm sure she was pretty sick of it by then. There is definitely a lot of sexism towards women doing construction related things. I rarely have crushes. But once. This girl I had a crush on in my class. We went to a bar restaurant near our school with other classmates. Not only she was haughty with everyone. She kept giving death gallows and talking in an inappropriate manner about the female waitress. I just lost interest after that night. 2 days after our first date. She showed up at my work with a pan of homemade lasagna. An ice cream making machine for my kids and all kinds of groceries. I was a single dad at the time and I guess it was some sort of care package for me. I also work about 2 hours from where she lives. When I said she didn't have to do that, she started to cry. Bit of a red flag. Are you sure she isn't from an anime? Didn't pick up his dog's poop when we were out walking our dogs. It's so disrespectful. 2 words. Really cute and hot girl. Textbook my type. Same interests. Same profession. Same outlook on relationships. A freak in bed. A few months in and I was wondering if she was the one. Then, out of nowhere, brutal racism told in the most casual of ways. I tried to gently confront her about it and she got upset that I didn't agree with her. Literally could not look at her anymore.